Hello everyone, my name is Jar Jar. Welcome back to my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you coming by my channel and supporting what I do. I don't think I really say that enough, but honestly, over the course of the last 3 years, I think it's been, you all have really made me open up to who I actually am in a lot of the creative ways, I guess you could put it. So thank you, it means a lot to me actually. Okay, now to the video. Well, as you can tell by the title of the video, I want to talk about what changes Black Ops 5, using BO5 as a placeholder term, has to have compared to Black Ops 4 to make it better. I know for a lot of people, Black Ops 4 was an absolute letdown, but I personally do enjoy Black Ops 4. And I think it's not a bad Call of Duty game in any shape. So yes, let's hop into what the community needs in Black Ops 5. I think this is obvious, but it will help by understanding the root of the hatred for a lot of the new Call of Duty games. It's how it doesn't feel like the old COD games did, which to some degree I can pin down directly on the competitive sides of them, which is where specialists come to play, considering that is pretty much their only reason for existing is to improve the diversity of the competitive scene. So if you don't know, specialists have both a main and a secondary ability. For example, Ruin's main ability is gravity spikes, and his side ability is his grappling hook. These can obviously be used in a casual way, but they have their competitive advantages. What I don't think these should be in Call of Duty is because of the way it makes us perceive the character we are playing as. What I mean is we no longer just feel like a random soldier in a group of 1,000 other soldiers. We are playing a named character with a backstory. Look back on the multiplayers of Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, and Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare, which are labeled as some of the best Call of Duty games of all time. We aren't playing as specialists with a sense of characterization. We are playing as a soldier without a name, a unknown soldier. What I mean by this is, when we die, it ruins why a lot of people don't like Overwatch, is because of the characterizations of the characters. And why in Call of Duty, there should just be unnamed characters that you're playing as rather than named characters, because it ruins some of the realism, because you're Rambo and not just Steven whatever who lives down the street. Yeah, this does make good business sense since it increases their sales, which then increases the shareholders, etc. But by doing this, you're creating divots between your community by how vast changed the games into whatever the current game is. And then you have the people who absolutely hated the new Space Age Call of Duties and love the boots on the ground mechanic. This is definitely the majority. I don't think there was anything wrong with the new Call of Duty here, but it didn't have the same feeling as boots on the ground did. This causes toxicity and divides between the core fan base between loving or hating this new Call of Duties. Another time, they tried to pander to the others outside the fan base. This is probably the most controversial, but it was the addition of Blackout and the scrapping of the campaign. So if you didn't know, the campaign was being worked on until only a couple months before the release of Black Ops 4. But with the popularity of Fortnite, they decided that they needed to add a Fortnite competitor, so they scrapped the campaign. This turned into the Specialist HQ that you see currently in game. and then they immediately started working on adding Blackout, getting it ready for release day, which is why there were so many bugs at the beginning of the game. This caused a major rift in the community because what is a Call of Duty game without a campaign? Well, it's Black Ops 4, potentially one of the most controversial Call of Duty games of all time, apart from Infinite Warfare, or Advanced Warfare. Either of those two. With stimpbacks, sliding, and no campaign, as well as with all the microtransactions. I'm getting there, don't worry. And the many bugs in the game have left quite a sore taste in the mouths of Call of Duty players all around the world. Hopefully there is still time for them to make Black Ops 4 completely what they wanted it to be before they have to stop working on it in order to get ready for Black Ops 5. What they need to do in order to get Call of Duty back into its heyday is to make Call of Duty classic again. And what I mean by that is there is no specialists, no stimpacks, just regen, no microtransactions or small ones, very small, not where it changes the game completely, multiplayer, and a campaign. It's a classic campaign. If they were able to pull off all of these in Black Ops 5, it would definitely bring back most of the community that haven't been set off completely yet, and it would bring back the community back to what it once was. So yes, obviously this was going to be covered here on what Activision, Treyarch need to do in order to gain the trust of the community once again. Because, well, to a degree, it is the main factor for the mistrust. Well, let's talk about that. So the first big time microtransactions were thrown into the limelight was Black Ops 3. There were other times, but before that, it wasn't in such of a loved game as Black Ops 3 is. And that was one of the best renditions of that game. So if you don't know the way microtransactions worked in Black Ops 3, you'll know that it took 30 supply drop keys to unlock one supply drop, which gave you 3 things, which was personally my favorite way of microtransactions being implemented. But now, in Black Ops 4, they have 2 ways for DLCs to come to you. One being the contraband stream, which personally I don't like very much. The XP levels are too high for you to really be able to get very high in it unless you're grinding it day after day after day. And then there are the regular drops, which instead of 3 things dropping, only 1 thing drops. And now you can get 1 free drop every once in a while, but the only way to get it is to grind the game, which takes forever, and it's just kind of unnecessarily long to get just the 1 thing that you get out of the supply drops. And on top of that, the idea that you're going to get something good or a DLC weapon of that is so low it's insane. You're going to get mostly stuff you don't even care about before you ever even get a new gun of any sort. Don't buy microtransactions for Black Ops 4, it's just not worth it. What Activision can do to fix it is to either go back in the way Black Ops 3 is with a direct way to get supply drops instead of just through XP, or remove microtransactions from the game entirely, which is my preferred method, obviously. Instead of making another section for this, I'm just going to tack this on to the end of this one. So if you play Black Ops 4, you'll know how pay to win it feels with almost every single DLC weapon being so overpowered compared to their free to use counterpart. The Peacekeeper is so much more powered than any assault rifle submachine gun that there is. Same with pretty much every single gun in the arsenal of DLC weapon. Yeah, that was just a little bit of a mini rant, don't get at me. This one mainly focuses on updates, fixes to bugs, etc. So if you play Black Ops 4 at the beginning of its cycle, you know how bad the game crashes were at that time. I mean, you could barely play to round 20 on any game and actually get any further than that. Same with updates to community wanted things. Don't pull a Fortnite with the mechs and keep them in. And I feel personally that the one big thing that the next game is going to do is change the game to fit the majority of the people want. Most of the people don't want shotguns to be underpowered like they are in Black Ops 4. Then they changed the balancing, instead of refusing to actually change anything, leaving the game to become desolate in terms of who actually plays the game. If you're paying any attention to the actual size of the maps in Black Ops 4, you will know that most of the maps are super large compared to maps like Barak or Not. I personally feel that most of the maps that you currently are playing and being built are trying to live up to the size of maps like Horizon Dragon Origins instead of just being its own thing, where it takes a while to get across the map, but instead of like the map Horizon Drop, where a lot of it is indoors in closed spaces, Treyarch are now making things more closer to Origins with long and huge open spaces. Look at maps like Ancient Evil, parts of IX, most of Blood of the Dead are all open spaces apart from a couple places. In case you don't know what I mean about small maps, I mean both enclosed spaces and the actual size of the map being smaller. Look at Varrock or Not. In my opinion, in order for a map to be ranked higher on my list, It needs to have one of these two qualities in order for it to be labeled at the highest on my list. Mob of the Dead is my favorite map of all time, so it would fit in the mostly enclosed space quality. I feel like Treyarch is currently going for the bigger the map, the better, which I don't agree with in a lot of cases. Alpha Mega has the enclosed spaces that I was talking about, which is why it's probably my favorite map in Black Ops 4. So if you've been playing Zombies for a long time, you'll know that Zombies feels like a secondary game mode, and it has for basically its entire creation, since Noct on World at War to now. With Black Ops 4, it still does feel like a secondary game mode. Black Ops 3 sold almost 11 million copies of that game. This is almost definitely mostly for the Zombies mode and what everyone thought was the ending of the Aether storyline. So it's time now that Activision truly treats Zombies players as important as multiplayer players, considering campaign used to be the main game mode and multiplayer was the secondary game mode. And then once World at War was created and Zombies became a thing, multiplayer became more of a focus, and then Zombies moved into what multiplayer used to be. And I don't know if I'm being 100% factual on how people thought if multiplayer was the game mode and then campaign was the secondary game mode, but it doesn't matter, just switch the names, it's not really what I'm talking about. This causes the Zombies players to feel left out of most of the big updates. We are usually the last one on the list in patch notes, and are still seen as the child of the Call of Duty community. In Black Ops 5, that absolutely has to change, especially with the Aether storyline ending. We need something going for us, whatever that may be. So as I said before, this has changed a little bit compared to how bad it was at the beginning of the Black Ops 4's lifecycle. But my gosh, you literally could not do half the things you would need to do in order to survive rounds without the game crashing. Especially later into the rounds, you literally could not beat certain rounds without the game crashing. Say you pull out your Ragnarok, and then put them away and threw a grenade while going down. Your game would literally crash, which I guess makes sense for a beta game, but not a fully published game. What Treyarch needs to do is absolutely make sure that there are no crashes in Black Ops 5 upon release, because what exactly are we going to do when a Black Ops 4 crashes again? Honestly, Black Ops 5, to not repeat the faults of Black Ops 4, the one they absolutely can't get the community on its side is if there is a bad launch. They need it absolutely smooth and immediately. There needs to be a smooth launch. Okay, this is more of an opinionated piece, so this isn't as based in facts. But I do like the Black Ops 4 system, but the majority don't. So that's why I'm including this part in this video. So as you know, they changed the way the perk system works, the way the Liquid Divinium, which isn't Liquid Divinium anymore, system works. They removed classic perks as well as added custom games and customization to characters. While custom games and customization to the characters could seem like a good idea on paper, but honestly, I don't see why they needed to add them other than for tournaments. Especially considering the fact that the classic feeling of Zombies was the fact that it was just you against swarms of zombies. Now that we can change literally every aspect of how that works, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. Also, they removed lots of the classic perks and added a bunch of new perks. They removed Jug and Speed, which is honestly the most classic staples of Call of Duty Zombies in my opinion, other than the mystery box. And they added specialist weapons to Zombies as well. Kind of. You can pick Takeo's katana or a minigun, etc. This is why I don't think you should have a specialist intertwined with such a classic game mode, because it makes you feel special. And let me explain, in the old maps you were just regular dudes from World War II, and now you have to fight zombies to get out of there and survive. But with this edition, you feel almost like you were like a demigod of some sort. Zombies has never been a realistic game mode of any sort. It does feel much more magical, even though there's aliens, for Pete's sake. If I was Treyarch, I would just get rid of these and go back to the classic Zombies that we've all grown to love, where there was a box, the pack-a-punch, and 4 perks, instead of it making it so overcomplicated. So yeah guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you all watching these kind of videos. They take a little longer to make, but if you enjoyed them, I will definitely keep making them. I also have a cool Zombies idea that I'm working on. Definitely stay tuned to my Twitter for that. So if you want to see more videos like this, please like the video. Comment down below what I should do next. Thanks for everything. Now go out and explore what life has to offer.
Hello, old chum. I'm not a gnolf. I'm not a gnoblin. I'm a gnome, and you've been gnomed.
Stay woke, bitches.